Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Look who's here. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot what he looked like.
I know it's been so long. Hi guys, how are you?
Good morning. Good.
Hi Ramin.
How are you?
And how are you feeling, Laurie?
Well, how do I look?
You look great.
I feel great.
Look like you never missed a beat.
Well, I did, but nobody knows about it. Shall we say it wasn't my finest hour?
Yeah, it was like pretty, like all of a sudden, wow. So
Yeah,
I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're back. I know the team was very concerned and took care of things while you were gone. But it's so happy to have you back now. And I know you have another show later on this afternoon, so you're double duty. Wow, busy lady.
On Tuesdays, yes, we are.
How are you, Ramin?
Doing great. Yeah, all is good.
Good.
I'll be traveling to your side of the world, Canada tomorrow. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You coming up to see Laurie or other business?
Yes, we'll be with Laurie. We got other things to do together, so we'll spend.
Nice. Well, safe travels.
Thank you.
Yeah.
His third trip to Canada in the last year or so.
I was going to say, because he was just here a little while ago. I remember you were mentioning that. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, hopefully you like Canada.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, he loves Canada. He'll be here eventually.
Excellent. Excellent.
So how are things with you? What's going on? You gonna catch us up?
I don't know. There's so much going on. Let's see what's going on. So for the let's see, we have our boutique open now. So we have on our website, the disabilitychannel.ca, we have activated our boutique, and we got a couple of great things going on. One is we're teamed up with this best-selling author. It's on our website. The title is all focused about budgeting for the family, how kids can learn how to budget everyday, regular day operations. So when they leave the home, they know how to pay their bills. They don't know how to pay their bills.
Novel concept.
They teach you how to budget, how to pay your phone bill, how to do everything. It's a really good book. So, and the proceeds, 75% of the proceeds, it's a $10. We'd love to advertise on here, actually. It's on our website. I'll send you the picture later on. $9.99 or $10 for the book. 75% is going towards our employment programs for veterans. So that's amazing. So we're going to be doing that. Also, my song is out there. The programs are going good. Now we're just honing in on our last chapter of the marketing campaign going out to the Invictus Games. So we do have a venue out in White Rock, February 2nd, fundraiser attached to the Invictus Games. We're going to be showcasing our employment programs, as we think would be a wonderful opportunity for the BC government to implement them, especially with the spotlight of the Invictus Games. So we're very excited. So that's, again, February 2nd. We like all of White Rock community, the BIA and the Chamber of Commerce, to get involved. We're going to have music there. We're going to have a 50-50 probably. We're going to have silent auction. Long McQuaid's already donated a guitar. We're going to be filming the event. And like I said, hopefully we're going to have some dignitaries from the Invictus Games there. So tomorrow I'm going on to our Sirius XM radio show, Laurie, which I need to get you on there, Laurie. I need to get you on there, right? It's got 34 million subscribers. I'm not saying 34 million people listen to me, but maybe 33 million. So we're going to go on there tomorrow with actually the president of White Rock Legion 8. So the president's coming along with one of BC's heaviest influencer. This lady, I think she has over 5 million followers. So she's great. Yeah, she's great. And she's right into helping the Disability Channel, supporting it, doing that. I'm sorry, I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit because I got so much more to share, but I'm going to pass the baton over to you guys for a bit.
That's okay. You just keep talking. We're good.
You guys won't get a word in if I keep on talking. I had a really good meeting yesterday with the Canadian Media Fund. This is super dynamic regarding our community. So the Canadian Media Fund, they support financially, they support arts, right? Canadian arts, right? Film, television, anything that is to do with the CRTC and creating original content, right? So they've already been very supportive of my platform regarding the Invictus game. So I had a really good meeting yesterday, and it was regarding Flanagan's.
Oh,
So
great.
Flanagan's now, it's taken a turn for, I guess, the better. Everybody said it's the better. So what has happened is I've become the head writer for the series. I had some meetings with some executives from LA, and we went through and they were telling me, Jay, what's the roadblocks, where you're at, give us the landscape. And I said, yeah, right now we're putting our writing team together. And they looked at me like I had three heads. Putting your writing team together? You're the writer. I went, yeah, but no. Don't let anybody tell you different, Jay. You're the writer. What you need to do is get two professional people, get a story editor, and get another co-writer on board who knows the crime world. You write the raw story and get them to shape it. I went, okay. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. But regarding the Canadian Media Fund, they opened up a new wing of accessibility / productions. They're I guess they're watching us because they're saying we will need to get more disabled people into the film and television business. And you, Jay, already do it. So we want you to be on our team. So right now we're looking with the Canadian Media Fund, Film Flanagan's in Canada. I'm actually talking to Channel Zero, which owns CHCH, which is a national broadcaster. Channel 11, we all know Channel 11, right? So film it out here in Hamilton, put it on CHCH, take advantage of the Canadian tax credits, give our graduates on a disability channel jobs, production assistants. They love that, right? They're all trained in media, in production. So why not give them production assistant jobs, PA jobs, right? Start at the bottom and climb your way up like everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing a little bit, plus a few other things. But yeah, so
you're busy, man.
I got one more. If you want to hear it.
Okay, we're listening.
So at 11:30, guess who contacted me?
I don't know.
The platform called Reddit. You guys know Reddit?
Oh, yeah.
So they contacted me last week and said, hey, Jay, we've been watching your shows. Do you want to have a meeting with us? And I went, I don't know. I go, why? And I go, well, you could be a good podcaster for the Reddit platform. And I went, oh. So yeah, so I have a meeting at 11:30 with them. I don't know. They called me, so I'm gonna see what's going on. Move over, Joe Rogan. Move over. You never know. Cool. So yeah, so that's what's going on in my world, I guess, guys. So I've been watching your shows. Thank you. Well, I don't do it alone. It's all because of my team, right? All because of the team. It's team effort. I got some wonderful people, including you and Ramin and, Lewis and Kathy and, wonderful people that work super hard behind the scenes. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it alone, so it's them. They're the ones that make me look good. So.
Cool. Well, congratulations. And I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, so I've been watching your show, and I think your show has been fantastic. I love the veteran angle. I talked to Jill the other day. She's going to be teaming up with our class. They want to interview her. So it's just wonderful what you guys are doing with the veterans. And I know I said I'm going to be joining you guys come November. I don't know. That could be a little shaky.
We can handle you.
I know. I want to believe you. I love coming on here and talking to you guys. It's just I need a couple more J's, I think.
Right on. Well, that sounds wonderful. So you better go get ready for your meeting.
So what do you guys have? What do you guys have planned? What are you guys talking about today?
Oh, Ramin has the topic. Over to you, Ramin.
Okay. Well, we're going to do
a little edgy today.
Yes, it's going to be a little politically not correct. So, we got elections here. We're going to talk about finances. A good thing is we got some of our audience. They come up with questions about the investing. And so I thought, we answered those life rather than writing them. But this is a little offbeat. But with elections here, what we're gonna discuss about what is happening to our men, because there's uh, there's a lot of confusion, and I will be talking about a little history why there's no clarity about looking at what is happening to our role models, men, women, the, the actually clarity of their roles. And I think has been really intermingled. And we will talk about why do we have to have like 7 types of males. I mean, listen, I was born traditional, go back 5,000 years. This is who I am. And I think that confuses the children and I think our future. So we want to do that. And it's just watching the US elections, seeing how everything is so complicated.
Can I ask you a question regarding the finance and the elections and just your opinion?
Sure, of course.
Jeff Bezos.
Ah,
what do you think? You know what? He owns Washington Post.
Yes.
And you know what he did not do.
Yes.
Right. Same with LA Times. Same with USA Today. They did not endorse, and they've always endorsed for the last 50 years.
Correct.
So what's your opinion on that?
Well, there is a couple of things. Again, this is going to be political, and I don't want to talk about what it is. We are going to discuss also the bettings, actually where the actual money is going, real money, on the trend. And we also discussed the currency, what is happening to the dollar. And there was a question about Canadian dollar, Mexican peso, what those are telling us, and the trend, what is happening. So I think even Minnesota Tribune, I mean, here it is. Why? They decided not to. So the question is, we've looked at all the big corporations, who they are following and who they are really supporting. And they're pretty open about that. But there is a little holding your cards close to your heart just in case. So I think, obviously, this is my opinion, that next week everybody's talking about how close the election is. It's tied. We're talking about all the polling. In my opinion, it's not going to be close.
I compare it like this, Ramin. I see one person filling a stadium without a guitar, and the other person having a tough time filling Starbucks. Okay, that's just common sense. And let's compare it to bands. If you're a rock and roll band and you fill a stadium like the Rolling Stones, well, you're one of the most popular bands in the world. And if you can't fill a hockey arena and you compare the two, Rolling Stones, like it doesn't make sense. You see the side of the road, you see when he went to McDonald's, and then you see her. I'm just saying, and I'm just saying what people see. Right? Just what people see. Everybody's entitled to their own belief, their own opinion. They vote for whoever they want. I know he makes a lot of people mad, but I think people even get madder when they go for their wallet. Like today, let's take the disability community. How do you think the disability community is surviving today with the prices out of control? Never mind. I know people, and I'm sure you guys do too. I know people that have good jobs, not great jobs, good jobs, and they're struggling like no tomorrow to pay the bills. So what happens about those people that have horrible jobs, or are trying to get a job, or are disabled on a budget? Like, it's just. Yeah, everybody thinks everybody's doing okay. Yeah, but the people you see who are saying everything's okay, they're worth $200 million or more. To them, it doesn't matter who the leader is. It's a people who go paycheck to paycheck. That's a people that are starving to death right now, right? So I love that topic. I know it's very controversial and people just get really upset. It's unfortunate that people get upset. Like, Like, why?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Right.
Everybody's got.
That's what the reason I'm talking about the subject of what is a real man, and that's like completely being lectured to, being changed to, and just following what you just mentioned. You go back to the history, and now especially we are very visually oriented. Charisma makes people have to like you, and you go back to JFK, and obviously the first real, we have TV broadcasts with like Nixon. I mean, Nixon was leading. His policies were good, but people like to see people that they like. You look at Reagan, that was the time of first election. Reagan, you look at Bill Clinton, whether your politics are the same.
That's right.
We're talking about, you look at Obama, they all people want to relate to them. So charisma makes a difference. I don't care how great, how smart you are. At the end of the day, people want to vote people that they can sit down and have a chat.
Did you guys get a chance to see any of the Joe Rogan podcast with him, with Trump?
Right.
Like, he was on there for 3 hours and he talked about everything. He was funny. He was casual. 3 hours, you really get to realize how somebody is. I mean, you can be a phony for 5 or 10 minutes on air, but for 3 hours, you really get to know a person, their inside note. I thought Kamala should do it too, right? I thought she should do it. Do it. Go on there. Let people see who you are. Like, let them really get to know you, right? Yeah. But I mean, charisma, you're right. Charisma is everything, and we're losing that in today's society because people aren't face to face anymore. They're like us on a computer all the time.
Here's a good comment from Kathy Bell.
Okay.
Do you want a person who cannot tell the difference between right and wrong as your president? In this case, it's not about party issues. It's about morality, the ability to have integrity.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's a great comment. And I think it's very important to have a president that is taking care of the country policy-wise, from immigration to inflation to the economy to military to safety. That's what a president is for. If you're looking for a president to tuck you into bed at night, well, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that. You got a mom and dad, or you got a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a wife or a husband. Like, that's who that is for. You know what I mean? I'm no offense. And again, I think he could tone it down a lot.
Well, he doesn't feel the need that he has to do that.
That's not him. He's a New Yorker. You want to go at me? Guess what? I'm going to hit you 10 times harder. That's the way I do it, right? And I know people can't handle that, and it's unfortunate. I know you like that. Like, I wish, like, some things, like, oh my God, what do you say that for, right? But that's what you get.
That's right.
Okay, guys, I'm going to disappear, but I really appreciate. I love this talk. I could talk about this all day, but
no kidding.
I'd get in trouble. Yeah, I'd get in trouble. So maybe we'll see at 1 o'clock, but maybe we'll see you tomorrow too.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me appear on the show today.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Bye.
Oh, thanks.
Well, there's a great start to the show. Hey,
all right.
I love it. So you made a comment last night that I really want to start off with, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And you talked about your daughter applying for some money for her projects in film. I'm thinking we should get her into the Canadian Media Fund here. And bring your movie to Alberta. So anyway, you mentioned that when she applied for that funding, she had to check off a gender, and there were 32 options on the application form. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, well, that's what I heard. I mean, she was telling me that. I can't believe this, giving us this list of, I believe I heard 30, but it was a large number. That's a 32. It was not like 4 or 5. I mean, I can, not that I can live with that, but at least I can, narrow it down. And well, of course, as you know, she's going to school in New York, and there's a lot of adversity, and I am for adversity. Here I am. I'm not even people come to, I'm a son of immigrant. Well, I am an immigrant. I came to this country as a young person, could not speak the language, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I was given. And of course, there has been a little bit of discrimination, but nothing that I could not handle. It was because of the lack of knowledge. It was not that people were mean; they just did not have the education about my culture or whatever it was. So I do appreciate adversity, but when things are pushed in our face and our children and the guilt and the shame, that's what I have a little difficulty. And my daughter is very open minded. She has a lot of friends from very different backgrounds. But even for her, it was confusing. So, what she was doing, very smart, she's looking for what are the odds of getting the grant? What are the best odds to check that? It's like you become not authentic because of all these things. And it that's the confusion for our new generation. I mean, my son should not have any questions about who he is, not personally, but because of the environment. When he goes out, when the education system says, well, you have to abide by these guidelines, and then this is it, and then you have to understand this, and you have to, all of a sudden the confusion, it's bad enough as a teenager, you go into the puberty, you already got the confusion about finding yourself, and then from outside. And that was my pet peeve, because actually it all started, this whole conversation we're talking about. I was watching, soccer is my, how much I love soccer. And all my life, I mean, I started playing when I was 5. And, my business is very much related to that sport. And my life is, I've coached for 44 years. And I was watching this game and there was a penalty. And I'm like looking at this, how could that be a penalty? My days, my playing days are in 1970s, 80s, 90s. My God, the way we played soccer, it was, you're supposed to be physical. You're supposed to have, at least in my case, I've had 12 different broken bones from my hand and arm to my foot, my fingers, my head, my nose. I mean, you just name it. I've broken it. And I'm still here. I'm still playing. Not that I'm encouraging, my son, go broke your nose to prove you're a man, but, we heal. But there's just so much protectionism right now. There's a lot of, we talk about, even our immune system has gotten much weaker. We are just being so pampered that all the bacteria and viruses, they're having a field day. Because you come with one, they come back with another one. So we are not this organic world to grow up. And that's a pet peeve for me. So I'm watching the soccer. I'm like, God, what is happening? And then I'm looking at our elections and I see how they define a man. And in my opinion, the best thing in families is the clarity of roles. And having, when you look at, I'm going to talk about male, but what defines a man? You go back in the history and you look at, men were hunters, and this is our genes. Our thing was to protect from outside and provide. As a man, that's my honor. We want to have courage, we want to have integrity, and we are the protectors. And women also very strong. They were protected from inside, the nurturers, the first teachers. And so each one of us has a very strong role. When we commingle everything and it's equality, it doesn't have to be 50-50 that I have to do half of everything. We have to do what our roles are and do it the best. So our children, when they're growing up, they see the clarity of that. And I use one example, it, me. I mean, of course, you know everything about me. And it is that I think the thing has started for me was in 1980s, which was my career started then, with all these self-help books coming out, telling you who you should be rather than who you are. And education is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot, we got a lot from reading books and other things. But what has happened from then, it's created putting a mask on over who you are. Okay, how to shake hand, when to smile, when not to smile. And you have correctly mentioned that, the filtering, right? We have to go through filter to impress. So when I used to interview 300 people. In the first 5-10 minutes, if you have the experience, you get the hunch, but a lot of times you don't know who you're dealing with. You go on a date, you don't know, is this the real person, or is it supposed to pretend who is? And I think that's what the society has become, and I'm transferring to male. Vulnerability is wonderful. You are supposed to, sensitivity. I still, every morning, my son just left, we tell each other we love each other. I hug him, he hugs me. That doesn't mean it's feminine, or it's the show of affection. Vulnerability is good, the tears of joy, tears of sadness. But my God, every single moment, I don't have to sob for everything to show that I am so sensitive and I'm vulnerable. It has to have the right time. So, yes, real men could have tears, but not every day. My daughter, when she called me with her problem, I am supposed to be that rock. Although I have so many problems myself, that's not the right time to become this friend, and I become, oh, honey, you have to hear about my problems. No, they want strong role models. They want to show that, yes, we have a protector. I can rely on my father, for instance, when I need him. And I think, again, I'm watching the election. It's like, I feel sometimes I'm lectured to who I should be, if I'm not, I should feel guilty. I should be shamed. If I'm an Iranian and there's like somebody else is Iranian, well, because he's Iranian, well, we got to really support that Iranian. And that doesn't go sit well with me on that side of things. So, um, and then, there's just so much information out there. I know that in investments, we call analysis paralysis. When somebody wants to buy a company, by the time they do all these analysis, the opportunity is gone. Well, listen, decision making is very important. So what happens now? We are over analyzing things, and I mentioned about they've come up with like 7 types of males. We call it Greek soup. In options, we use Greek terminology. So in option investing, we have we have delta and gamma and theta. So for male, not you've heard of alpha male.
Mhm.
Apparently, well, it applies to females now too. And then you have beta personality. Then you have gamma. Then you have delta. And then you have zeta. And then you have sigma. And then you have omega. Okay, my son's like, it's good to have the type, but do I have to have all these different types? Just have the fundamentals, under your belt, understand who you are. And we were talking last night, and I think that's what's important. And it's important our audience understand the work that you do, for instance, and how valuable that is. And we talked about that depth. Everything we have here is horizontal. Everybody has ocean amount of knowledge, but it's 1 inch depth. Everybody knows about everything, but nobody knows about one thing. And that's what we go to specialists. My neurosurgeon, I don't want to go to my acupuncturist to do a neurosurgery on me or heart surgery on me, right? But
Right.
unfortunately, with everything going on, people getting, 2 weekends, and they become, we talked about that, getting certificate do thing. You need the depth of yourself, understanding who you are. And when we know, like, work with the traders, for instance, that's the number one rule. We can teach you the techniques, all the strategies, but at the end of the day, it's you who make that decision. So it's about your decision making, which comes from all the years of your belief systems, your upbringing, your environment. So if we do not discover who we are, I don't care how many books you read, how many podcasts you watch, you will not be able to become successful. And everyone, if you notice people who are very successful, they have a very good handle of who they are. And that's why they make these major decisions, they take risks because they know, and they know the odds it might not work, but they are okay with that. There's no filtration within. And I think a lot of us as a whole, as a communities, we are afraid of finding who we are. That's why it's a lot easier to watch the Facebook and get these one-liners and feel good about that and think we know a lot. And it takes a lot of courage to do a deep inside cleansing and understanding. And unfortunately, there are not many people out there who are doing this. I mean, you're doing it, but how many other people are doing this? And that's the danger. As I said, we should not have tremendous number of characterization of males and females. You know, I have to say, my mom was 4'10". She was a beautiful woman. She was always feminine. She started working at age 18. She was a principal of high school. But every meeting she went, the men were afraid of her. She was a strong woman because she believed in what she was doing. And I have to use this word, there's a sexiness about a confident woman and a confident man. Not arrogant, but confident. Confident can be contagious, can be respected. You don't have to be liked, but I know a lot of people respect the integrity, the confidence, people who value your decision making, they value your opinions. So my mom, she, to the last breath that she took, she was a woman, very feminine, beautiful, and very strong. And a lot of people that, women that surround me, they are very strong women, but they're very feminine. They're very proud of that they are a woman. They are very proud of their bodies, the way they look, but they also, and it has nothing to do with the education background, it's about who they are. And that's what I think our society keeps giving us a mixed messages. The daughters don't know how to look, how to behave. They're supposed to compete with men, and you have to be a man. No, they don't have to be a man, but they have to be confident. They have to accept who they are, and they know their values. They are worthy, and they are beautiful as they are. We don't have to um, have all these changes physically and otherwise to be accepted. So, but that's what, again, I'm watching our elections, and that was my pet peeve. And I thought, you know, let's uh, let's discuss that, and as I said, I'd be good with our own skin, who we are, and it's okay. We are okay. So, I just one thing I have to also say, taking it to the finance side of things, I'll share this with you. We talk about gold. If you had a bar of gold 100 years ago, a bar of gold, nice bar, you could buy a beautiful house 100 years ago. Today, if you have a bar of gold, you can buy a beautiful house, close to $1 million house. So you can see that the value of gold really hasn't changed. It has kept, and you go back to 5,000 years ago, the same thing. So the reason I mention that, it should be, again, as a man, yes, we learn to evolve your age. That should, a man would be the same thing. The definitions of talking fundamentally will be the same. And again, from financial point of view, that's why people like to own gold, because it keeps value. There's no surprises. In the cases of crisis, uncertainty, what happens? We go to certainty because we know gold keeps its value. So that's it's a known quantity, a known thing that we know. And it's that's why we like people, whether there are sometimes they say stupid things, whether they do silly things, but we know who they are, and we are more accepting of the people who, again, sometimes they say stupidest things. They don't mean, but we know at least there's no filtrations and they offend. But at least we know. Look at I have friends that, it is who they are, and I respect that. So that our children have to know that they don't have to constantly change to please the group that they are in, and that's the authenticity, right? So integrity and knowing that who they are. And as I said, I don't want to fault it, but I think for me it started in 1980s when everybody wanted to do something. You go to in 90s, you go to a Japanese board, the Japanese want to act like Americans. Americans understand that Americans are acting like Japanese. At the end of the day, they're crisscrossing, end up the same results. This one wants to be that one wants to be that one, and then you don't know who you got.
That's
Well,
right.
let's just have that clarity. No, okay, this is, we respect Japanese culture. That's how they behave. We respect Americans, how they behave, understand it, but I don't have to be an American. I can simulate that, but I can understand, respect it. And I think that too much of that going on. We're
Hmm.
becoming a mishmash of everything. So,
Yeah. Well, I watched a movie a couple of weeks ago now while I was recovering,
oh yeah,
and it was about this Japanese man married, two girls, coming to America, and they actually had tutors showing them how to behave once they got to America. So they could no longer bow like they normally do or give out their business card with two hands. Now they had to do the handshake. Hi, Bill. How you doing? Howdy. And they were actually practicing that. And so this was in this movie. I forget what it was called. But anyway, so a few things have come up for me as you were talking. And maybe we can talk about this when we do our Indigenous show, our next one, because what has happened to our First Nations people is the fact that they were removed from who they really are for generations.
right.
And now I'm totally ashamed of who I am. And I don't want to be that because I'm disconnected. So once we come into the world, we learn very quickly how to assimilate with different groups, different people. So I've used this in my workshops a lot. I have a mask on when I'm with my parents. I have a different mask when I'm with my auntie. I have a different mask when I go to church. I have another mask I wear when I go to a party, blah, blah, blah. So by the time we're grown, 18 or so, we don't have any idea who we are.
Right.
And so there is another saying, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything,
Yes.
right? So that's why our kids are confused. Now, I tell another story. I was at the grocery store, this was a few years back, buying some meat, two young women, little babies in the carts. The carts were full of cans and boxes and processed food. They were looking at the meat, and one said to the other, "Oh, well, there's no sense in me buying any of that. I wouldn't know what to do with it." Okay, so that clarity of a role to provide healthy food for my family, that got broken down for them somewhere along the way because their mom or their grandmom did not teach them how to cook. And I think that's a big problem when I work with couples. It's usually the men that are so frustrated because they don't know what is expected.
Right.
And my nephew, who's now 27, is dating, and he said it's amazing how the young women his age, what their expectations are of the guy. He's not only supposed to bring home the bacon, he's supposed to do all the other things in the house if she's tired, or you know what I'm saying? So, yes, there's a lot of confusion about what it is we're supposed to be doing. And I feel for our guys around that. What does it take to be a man, a real man? What's it take to be a real woman? Well, if you have 32 genders to pick from, how would you know what to be anything? right? When you talked about the 1 inch on top of the ocean, that's called shallow, being shallow. So if I'm shallow because I haven't done my work or I don't know who I am, I'm putting things out that are not real, or they're coming through my own dysfunctional filter. Well, one afternoon I fired my lawyer, my accountant, and my banker all in one afternoon because they weren't who they said they were. So being a professional has nothing to do with it, does it?
No.
No. It's just learning. And I don't know why people are afraid to discover who they are. Because another thing I wrote down when you were talking, the fear comes from not around what we're not doing, but what we could actually do. And that's what people don't want to discover.
Yes.
Because then I'd have to get out of my comfort zone and do something different. Like, we're out of our comfort zone a lot of the time, just even in our show today, talking about this. We're going to upset some people. Well, too bad. We're entitled to our opinion, and we're entitled to our view. I just know that children now are really confused about who they are because their parents have decided ahead of time who they are. So those are a few things that I had to share around that. Over to you. See
No.
what you've conjured up in me in just a few minutes. Like, I could go on all day. Because when we lose sight of who we are, that's when we get all messed up and mixed up and confused and not clear.
Yeah.
And am I really worthy of being here or not?
Absolutely.
I do have a story about that I think is important, but we come back to that. Over to you for a few comments, and then I'll talk about my nephew again.
Right. No, it is exactly what it is. And I have to differentiate. So I'm not talking about the sexuality, what you do in your private side. It's nothing to do with that. I'm talking about as a male and female who you are. And again, it's not the preference, whatever you do. So this is the confusion, everyone. And I'm in California, of all the places. I mean, you go look at the criteria in the education system, the things that they do, they the mismanagement of the finances in the state is unbelievable. They can spend billions of dollars on the healthcare that they think it's the right thing, which it goes out. But if somebody's asking for the $20 benefit for something, they put you into the drill. So there's a lot of misenergy putting the things, mastering in minors. They feel good to look at like tiny little details and miss billions of dollars wasted in this state.
Yes.
And I know it's the government too. So they think they have the control of, oh, we saved 10 cents on this, we bought this and we did this, and they lose the sight of the whole big picture just because it makes them feel good. And you just correctly mentioned it's a comfort zone because they're comfortable doing the little things. But it's a big challenge to work on the big things because then it's going to open a can of worm. So it's okay. Just let the money go. It's okay. And it's not our money anyway. It's the taxpayers' money. So who cares? And so that's wanted to clarify that as far as, again, the mainly I'm focusing on gender. And as a man who's had a long life, and it's as you said, protection is okay. My nephew, who was he was all-American goalkeeper, but he got concussions a few times. Yeah, he should be protected. Unfortunately, he can't play now because he's got hit. Those are real protect, but not for every little thing. Get a scrape on your knee. Oh my God, it's end of the world. And you gotta sleep for 2 weeks, miss the things. Oh my, as a child, we would be my parents never knew where I was. We'll go out, fall down on the bike. I don't know how many pants my mom had to patch because My pants are all, the knees were always ripped because I'm always on the ground. I'm falling, I'm playing this, and bloody knees. Nobody cared. And I'm still here.
Yeah.
So I think we've become a pampered society, the guilt society as a parent, because maybe we are not around. We end up buying toys for our kids, keep them busy with the little things that we think that's important to them, but they're all what? They're all material things. They need our love. They need to know we are there when they need us. That's the moment, and that's manly and womanly. I mean, that's what's the important thing, the security we provide for our kids,
Mm-hmm.
the time. So I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about these. And I think this election brought more, I mean,
More of
opened the
it up.
wound for me. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I shared yesterday on our show, Virginia and I were talking about, how we managed to lose our self-worth. But in my generation, when we were growing up, you know that saying, it takes a village to bring up a child. Well, if we were outside and we were like 3 doors down, and I was in the backyard stealing apples off that tree, by the time I got home, my mom already knew about it.
Yeah.
Right? They were on the phone. But at the same time, if I was on the street and ran into trouble, I knew I could go in that door and be looked after. So those days are gone. We used to leave at 7 o'clock at night and walk, I don't know, 8, 10 blocks down to the church to go to choir practice or, excuse me, Girl Guides or whatever we were involved in, and walked home. My mom didn't drive, but that was that generation, and that was that time and place.
Mhm.
And we don't have that today. We don't have that. It's not safe out there. So we've become, what do they call them? Helicopter parents.
Yeah.
We may be there, but we're not there. So my kids are with me, but I see it all the time across the street. We have a beautiful park and a playground, and the mums and dads are over there with the children, and the kids are on the equipment, and the mums and dads are on their phones. So they're not there. They're not present.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
They're not in the moment. Because the kids are on the playground going, Mom, look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
Look what I just did. And Mom missed the whole thing. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if I'm not clear on who I am, then I'll be whatever is the most influential group of people who can lure me into that club.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know what else to say about that other than how important it is for us to understand. I'm thinking of a few young families that I know, and one in particular, who've made that very clear about who their son is and who their daughter is, because mom and dad are both clear about their roles. And so they have this beautiful, safe environment to grow up in where there's very little confusion and chaos. And isn't that what really inner peace comes from that? Less chaos and confusion, so I can be at peace with myself? Because if I don't like who I am, and we work with this every day, if I don't like who I am, I'm going to do things that are totally out of character. Because that's what feels right in that moment of confusion. I'm going to rob that store. I'm going to stab that woman. I'm going to steal her purse. These are lost souls. And somewhere along the way, I used to say to my parents in groups, if they were taking a workshop and the parenting thing would come up, I'd say, well, are you raising a criminal? Are you raising a bully? Are you raising a drug addict? I don't think any of us are born with that thought process. I'm going to grow up and be a drug addict. I don't think so. Over to you.
Yes. No, totally. And I got it off my chest. I appreciate that. The
Oh, that's
opportunity.
awesome. Oh,
yeah.
that's
Next week is the election. I'll be in Canada. So
right.
before, I think just because we are also doing the money show, if I can take a couple of minutes, just because there were a couple of questions last time
Yes.
from Simon and Sylvia. So I want to honor those questions for last, few minutes that we've got. So at least
Okay.
I can answer that, and then we can wrap it up. And uh,
Sure.
one question Sylvia was asking about Canadian dollar and why it's been dropping so much from end of September. And Sylvia, what I would say is you have to remember money is like a river. It goes where is the best place, finds the path of the best path. So with money, the money goes where is the best return or the best rewards. So what happened in the last week, especially the Canadian Central Bank dropped the interest rates another 50 basis point or 0.5%. So we had 3.75. So money looks for the higher rate of return. So American dollar is offering a higher return than Canadian dollar. So money has been coming. My apologies. Money has been coming to American dollar from all over because euro is doing the same thing. But also politically, I mentioned last week that it seems like the markets are giving us a direction that they think the outcome, they know the outcome. They think it's going to be a little inflationary from financial assets point of view. So the dollar is attracting the money. So the money is going to dollar. Dollar is like a parabolic move in a month, last month. The same with gold, which is amazing because gold and dollar go opposite way generally. So that's the reason Canadian dollar, number one, because the rates were dropped, but also strong dollar. We also see the Mexican peso has been dropping. Chinese yuan has been dropping relative to dollar. Iranian rial has been dropping. So those markets are telling us that at least they think the outcome is, at least from those investors' point of view, is clear. Well, we'll see if anything happens in next week. The second question was with Simon. Simon had talked about Black Swan event, and the Black Swan is a very rare event. And in Australia, they never knew there was a black swan. They always think about there's a white swan. So finally, well, they said there are black swans, and black swans are very rare. So Nassim Taleb, the author, who's also a mathematician and a statistician, he's written, I would say, the three top books, which I will put in our library. His most famous book was called Black Swan, but I think the two better books, Simon, if you're listening, is The Anti-Fragile, which is a great book. It's about probability, but also the things that what is the odds and accidents and about life and the random uh, 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 full false randomness, and that's it's a great book about probabilities, and if you're investing, that's a fantastic book, but also about life. So the black swan event that you mentioned, you mentioned about events happening, maybe China invading Taiwan or Houthis doing. So it could happen, but you have to remember something about black swan event is very rare, but also very unpredictable. So if the market's already thinking about Houthis or Iran or what's going the Russian going to do, China, they're kind of prepared for that. So I would give like an example, things that they come from off. I mean, they call it right field and just surprise you. You never expected it, such as, um, we had COVID, we had pandemics. Nobody expected that 6 months before that, and it's extreme reaction. So those are the black swan events. The financial crisis, the last minute there was denial. Well, that's a great one of your classes, Dr. Laurie, about denial. Investors stay in denial till they can, and that's why you see these bubbles burst because we are all in denial. The internet, the bubble, the net. These are all the black swan events when It was very rare. Nobody expected it, but when it happened, it exploded because of that reaction. So I hope that is helpful, Simon. And I appreciate you're on TradingView. That's a great site. And I've been with TradeStation for 34 years, which is the best technical platform. But TradingView is like their sister. So you're in a good place, and it's a good platform. So with that in mind, I think I've used all my time.
Oh, no, that's great. I forgot that we had noted that we were going to answer those questions this week. So thank you for that. Much appreciated. And I'm sure those viewers will appreciate those responses too. So thank you for that. So you've been watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel, a nice surprise visit from our esteemed leader, Jay Stoyan, this morning. So I told him I almost forgot what he looked like because I hadn't seen him in a while. And of course, just preparing for Dr. Ramin to come to Canada for a trip and do some business and get caught up. And we're looking forward to lots of visits and appointments. And we have a retreat to do up north, and it's all very, very productive. So I'll be seeing you tomorrow night at the airport to pick you up. And we'll be back in an hour with Doug Smith. The press box is also on today. And Doug and I have a little special show planned. We don't have any guests this morning, but a few weeks ago, he interviewed me. So today I'm going to interview him. And that way we'll learn more about the famous Doug Smith. All right. So bye for now.
Yes.
And we won't be having a show next week. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And it'll be fun that you'll be here during the election. Whoa. That's probably a good idea. Oh my. Okay, everybody. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Bye-bye.